Hi guys, this is Jesse Doran, and today I am just chilling in bed. I came across a movie today, and it is by Michael Moore, and it is called Sicko. And so, this movie, it reveals the horror of the healthcare system. But something that I wanted to touch a bit more on was definitely the word poverty, the state of being extremely poor, and what um, how would you consider someone poor? Would be someone living um, lower than the poverty line, which is the estimated minimum level of income needed to secure the necessities of life. And if you don't if you don't have the money to pay for the necessities of life, well, you can't afford to live. And so what entails with poverty would obviously be homelessness. First of all, if you can't pay your bills, can't pay your rent, and that's just you know, a condition of not being able to acquire regular income. And also, what's covered in the documentary, which I will link in the description box below, because it's a 2 hour documentary and it is on YouTube. And that's where I watched it. And I've seen it twice now, and it is a 2 hour long video, is the working poor. And one person that stuck out to me as a prime example of the working poor was a guy. His name was Eddie. I think he was probably in his 70s, and he had to maintain his job so he could get Medicare because he couldn't afford his medications. So he had to keep his job as a janitor in order to live. And he said, I'm going to be working this job until I die. And there was no ifs, ands about it. If he loses or quits his job, he's dead. He's like, I can't afford any of this, as I fix my tie. And yeah, so that kind of stuck out to me. I thought that was absolutely sick. And then another subject or just topic I'd like to talk about is child poverty, which it refers to a phenomenon of, well, modern America and any first world and second world, I guess international, because poverty has no boundaries. Children that live with poverty, and they are often from poor families, orphans, and being raised with limited to no resources. And one of the people from the movie Sicko, her name was, let me just look it up here. I don't think I wrote it out. Let's just call her Annie. I don't know. She's the one that wanted, she's like 15 minutes into the video. Yeah, she's the one that needed a hearing aid. And because the family couldn't afford the hearing aid operation, obviously, because they figured, well, I have insurance, I'm covered. She was only approved for one hearing aid. But thanks to the Sicko documentary, the guy made it public, and his insurance company called and approved both hearing aids. But even child poverty, if you're a child, that just shows you that you're not even safe from not getting health benefits or getting certain surgeries or getting a right to live, which is it just shows how social class can affect someone even if they're a child. And then even people in life who have ascribed status suffered. They had worked hard, were business owners, raised 6 children to go to college and university, and the father had 3 consecutive heart attacks in a row. The mother then got cancer, and within a 10-year span, they were homeless, living at their children's house. And like their children were kind of just like, oh, so what? You get another hospital bill for $90,000. If you get another hospital bill for $90,000, am I going to have to move you again? And he just sounded like it was an annoyance to be moving his homeless parents around because they couldn't afford any of their bills. But basically, the documentary looks at the healthcare system within the United States and provides an outlook which could be arguably described as propaganda, 'cause propaganda cannot be defined as false information, but it is kind of like propaganda on Moore's part of how profit-orientated the healthcare system is and how it maintains its profit-gaining abilities. And one thing that really shocked me when watching this video was just the amount of corruption and how there are over 50 million people in the U.S. who do not have health care, which is crazy because you can get denied if your body index is too big. You can get denied if you've had I don't know, something really basic, like really simple, like something that you get and you cure in like 2 days. Equality, what she said, she was a healthcare professional, and she had her husband who had terminal cancer of some sort that could have been treated with a quote-unquote experimental bone marrow transfer. And she went and booked a meeting with the board because she is a part of the healthcare system, and she used whatever connection she could to, you know, help her along. She was getting desperate. Husband's about to die. And within the meeting, they quickly say, no, you're denied. This is experimental. And these were the people that could have finalized and approved this treatment. And she ended up getting so frustrated and angry, she said, maybe if my husband wasn't black, you'd help me. And maybe if I was so-and-so, who is one of the head boards of the people that actually go about denying people these quote-unquote experimental life-saving treatments. Yeah, and then so the healthcare system is also referred to as just the health system. And it's an organization of people, institutions, resources that deliver healthcare services and meet health needs. And when you look at that in lines of private insurance companies, especially, it's just as prevalent in Canada as it is, well, clearly is in America, that these are just sanctioned murders who deny people for something that they would call non-emergency elective surgery, such as brain tumors and cancer, whether it be bone, breast, any sort of thing, and even hearing, actually. It is a it is a $2 trillion. I'm skipping. I'm like, oh, skipping hard. Yeah, it's a $2 trillion. Oh God. Money-making machine. Let's just call it that. So one of the things I just kind of wanted to touch base about was the effects of poverty and who makes these decisions to deny people access to proper health care because they are too poor. And there is a former employee employee who confides to the filmmaker, Michael Moore, that has been instructed to proceed claims not for the benefit of the sick people, but instead find ways to dismiss them. Okay, I need to find my paper. My memory is not good. Yeah, I wrote some of my thoughts and opinions, and yeah, I thought, okay, well, oh, it's right here. Okay, so this is what I thought about. Okay, so yeah, I am discussing the health director. And this is the part that really resonated within me, was that there was this woman, she was getting paid a couple hundred a week, and she was just a normal health director. But then one day she received a contract, and she found like the slightest little way to get out of it. And she ended up saving the insurance company $500,000 by denying one person. And because of that, she got some notoriety, obviously. And she said she immediately went from making a couple hundred a week to a 6-figure salary, which, if anyone knows what that means, it means around 100,000 for a 6-figure, which is not bad. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. Cancer, 6. Yeah, and what these cancer, and, gold. What these what these insurance companies do is they sell a very old ideological perspective of the American dream and how to obtain it. And that's what they play on people's heartstrings, that you are protected, you are safe, and they are giving false security. And that's exactly what has happened to over 250 million Americans. And guess what? I'm sure that there is way more, at least probably 100 million people who have been denied life-saving treatment, and they can't afford these things. And it's the poverty that kills them. One example that obviously sticks out was Rick. He had been working in his garage using a saw when he sliced off 2 of his fingers. He sliced off his, believe his middle finger, and then his ring finger. And so middle finger was 60,000 and ring finger was 12,000. And yeah, he could only he took the ring finger because he said, well, he's a romantic. But when it gets to the point where you have to choose which body parts you get to keep, it's absolutely crazy. And this production is actually very good. It's Doggy Dog Films. And yeah, I think he really did a good job at divulging into it. He kind of goes on like a weird thing where he goes and shows like France and like, I don't know, some other weird, like Cuba, which that's where it gets a little propagandy. It's like, okay, we get it. Like, Cuba ain't that good. And yeah. And this is where I believe like education plays a huge role in poverty as well. Because we have public schools, we have private schools, and a lot of time that's where your advantages and disadvantages start, is with your education, with your family, with your social class, with everything. Like, what you're born into is going to define at least the first 20 years of your life, and you can always make yourself into anything. Another thing about I'd want to touch on is I watched the Joan Rivers um, documentary, Piece of Me. Yeah, Piece of Work, actually. And there she has a charity that she actually founded, started, and kept doing it, and it was called In God's Love We Trust. And there is a woman there that she delivered food to who was an artist. And if you're an artist, you don't have insurance, you probably don't have much life savings. You are in it for the art, live it, breathe it. That's what you do. And her name was Low Fox, and she had been taking pictures of a grocery store for the past 20, 30 years of cigarette prices, like changing throughout the years. And now she was in this living with God's Love We Trust, delivering food to her door every day. And Joan actually did go out on every holiday and deliver food to these people. And they deliver for anyone who can't afford food, which is crazy because there are people being denied insurance and they can't pay for their surgeries and treatments. But if you're sick, you also can't be working. Your job probably isn't your insurance isn't going to cover enough for bills. Like, how are you going to eat? And yeah, so I thought that was a really cool charity, God's Love We Trust, and I'm going to link that below, as along with links to the movie Sicko. And yeah, I will put up some of the major definition points that I just really wanted to get across. And thank you so much for watching. And yeah, tell me what you thought about the movie. And if you think anything should be done about it. If you know anyone that's been affected by something like this. And we all have to deal with inequality. But we just got to do it as best as possible. Thank you for watching so much.